Okay, this is my current and probably last race bike project. I'm getting too old to do all of this stuff, and as you can see, it's a work in progress, but I thought I might document a little bit of what I'm doing and try and let people know why I'm doing it. I guess why I'm doing it's obvious. I enjoy these things, and I've enjoyed racing, but a lot of people laugh when you tell them you want to race an Ironhead Sportster, and they do that because compared to modern day bikes, of course, they're a dinosaur, and it's well known that while the engines aren't too bad, they blow up a lot, and the frames, brakes, the suspension, the rubbish. Well, in actual fact, that's not really true, and this bike I'm building is intended to show people how wrong they are about some things about the bike. Now, I will agree that the suspension, as it came from Harley, and the brakes are rubbish. The frame's not that bad. Okay, the frame's really not that bad. I mean, yeah, cast iron bits at the end make it heavy, and I don't know that it really adds all that much to the strength. But it's more the design of things that gives them strength, not materials or anything else. It's really how they're designed, and this is very, very typical. This frame of bikes built from very early on, right up through to the 70s. Despite the fact that people knew better than to do this. Did you see that long, narrow backbone? Okay, that's the real weakness in this frame design. When the forks have force applied to them this way or that way, they want to twist this frame tube here, and that's what they do. And you could make it bigger, wider, stronger, heavier, but really it's just poor design. You're feeding all the forces into there. Putting a cast iron headstock there just moves the forces back here and down to here, and indeed when things go wrong, that's where you'll find the bends, is here and down there. Now, apart from that, the rest of the frame is not bad. I will contrast it with the McCandless brothers in the early 50s. Came up with a much better design, and today most of the modern bikes use a similar principle. This is my sidecar, and I have to tell you, sidecar frames have to be strong because they're subjected to a lot of sideways forces that road racing bikes, solo bikes never see. Okay, you see the difference here? Okay, the headstock feeds any twisting loads into tubes running sideways, one on either side. Okay, so it resists the bending forces by pushing the forces into these tubes in compression. And tubes in compression or extension are extremely strong, much better than the Harley design. Okay, so a smart man would say, let's start with a featherbed frame. But it's not necessary. I did start on a featherbed based project, a solo, as opposed to my sidecar, but gave that up and sold the bits and pieces, and later on decided, no, I need to show people that these are good bikes, and when I say they're good bikes, if you replace the suspension, now the forks that I have on here are Ceriani replicas, 35mm Cerianis with compression and rebound damping, the longest ones I can get, and they're holding a set of magnesium Ceriani 4-leading shoe drum brakes. Okay, they're the best you can get in the world for Period 3 racing in Australia, in the world. Well, that's a genuine Barani rim they're laced to, so I can't get any better brakes or suspension for the class that I'm racing in. On the front, that's as good as it gets. There's no better way. On the back, I've got rid of the Harley item and I've gone with a Manx Norton magnesium hub. Now, the brakes, hubs and suspension are the most expensive bits on the whole bike, and they're quite expensive, and you want to think twice about doing this sort of thing. But the ability to put them on there means that this bike will handle and stop as well as just about anything else there on the track. I will explain. This is what we call in Australia Period 3 Unlimited bike. Now Period 3 is just the years of the bikes that you're allowed to race, and that extends from 1945 to 1963. And the Sportster being made in 1957 fits right in with that. You don't have to have a 1957 or even a 62, sorry, it only goes up to 63, but 62 engine, because the XLCH engine is basically identical up until 69. And the rules that we race under here stipulate that the basic engine castings and heads and barrels and things have to be visually identical to something that was raced or used during the period. So those brakes, those front forks, that rear brake, they were used prior to 1963, so they're eligible for me to put on this bike. Okay, so that part of it is a no-brainer if you want to go somewhere. At the moment, I've got Coney dial-a-ride shocks on the back. I may change them for something a little bit better later on. We'll have a look. The seat brackets I made up myself. They're an extension to the frame, but I can do what I like in that department. But basically, the rules I race under allow me to race anything that was built prior to 1963 or visually indistinguishable, which means I can make copies of stuff as long as they look the same. It also means I can do whatever I want inside the engine. I can't put 4-valve heads on there. I can't do that, but anything else. So if I want to bore it and stroke it and make it bigger, I can. If I want to change cams, I can. If I want to change the location of things inside, I can do that. As long as it can't be seen on the outside, you can do it. They call it unlimited class, but in fact there is an overall limit of 1350 cc's, which in fact with their 5% overbore rule is actually 1365 cc's. Okay, now starting with an Ironhead Sportster engine, you're starting at 883 cc's, and it's not difficult to go above 1000. Even with stock barrels, you can just put a 4.5-inch stroker kit in there and hey presto, you have an engine that's going to work very well. The poor old Triumph Nortons, everybody else apart from Vincent's, start with what I call tiny little engines, 650 cc's, and they work very hard to get them up to 850 or 880 cc's, which is where a stock Sportster engine starts. Stock Sportster engine is actually quite a good engine for its period, and this bike should be actually quite successful on the track, especially if I put a decent engine. This is basically a junker engine that I bought for $600, but it runs okay, and I'll use it for testing, tuning, and that sort of thing. And while I build another engine over here, I've got the beginnings of I've got cases and things, and I'll be building an engine to go in here later on, especially if I realize that the bike is great, just needs more power. We can build a bigger, better, faster engine, and we'll do that.